So what we're going to be doing is getting into the roaming drill environment, and you typically need a minimum of 5 people. So right now we've got 5 people. 8, 10 is a lot more fun. After about 12, you're going to divide it into 2 groups of 6 because it's just easier to focus. The primary orientation for the roaming drill is peripheral awareness and what's called edge detection, or being aware of the silhouette of the other person's body. So as his silhouette changes, if he's coming at me to do something, there's a silhouette changing, and then I can operate on that very quickly. So that's our first thing to do. So we're just going to warm up, doing some roaming, and just trying to get as close to the other person as possible without touching them. And as you pass someone, you're not looking at their eyes, you're just focusing on this area of their body, and trying to watch that happen as you take a couple of steps, and then you look at the next person, and that's what you keep doing. So one of the most essential things about roaming is you're always going to conserve what's called post and pivot. So every step I take, I'm conserving my relationship with posting to the ground, pivoting into the next step, and no matter what happens in terms of the interaction, I can maintain all of that coordination in my body and not go, because that's the first thing most people do is I think I should be hopping here, or they get surprised and scared. If you're always going to post pivot and move, defensively or offensively, you're connected to the ground. So next thing we're going to do is basically do our walking along interaction. But as we walk in towards each other, we're just going to push each other in the chest. Now, try not to make it like into the solar plexus or something like that. Just give the person a natural shove. He gives me a natural shove. I just decide to see if I can use that shove to actually just interact with his weapon, not do anything else. Okay, and then just keep going. So just going to do that for a bit. Shove, interact with the weapon, and move on. So the roaming environment comes primarily from the martial art Bagua Chang, which is all about circles and using the other person's energy to make things happen. Right? So we're not training to do what might look like a keto, right? What we're training to do is just get familiar with hands coming up, noticing the change in his edge detection, and as soon as the hand comes up, I just want to interact with it. You know, ideally, his hand comes up and I just kick him in the groin or spear him in the throat or something like that. But not everybody needs to all the time. So I see it coming up, I just want to go, okay, I was surprised. I turned off the weapon. It wasn't maybe a fist with a face, doesn't matter. But I'm off that, and I'm starting to scan his silhouette for the next weapon. And in the drill, to keep the drill moving, we just keep moving. Right? So that's the idea. That's why we're doing it. So this thing comes up, and I allow this to come at me because I'm not going to assume that no one's ever going to touch me because I'm invincible. I'm going to assume, oh, I didn't really see that coming, but now I have to interact with what's next. So now what we're going to do basically, same thing, but when I interact with it, post pivot and get weapon, and then spine. Right? So I'm walking along and I see it coming. Instead of letting it hit me and push me, so I've had that experience, I'm like, okay, that's me being a little slower than I want to be. I see it coming, move it, and both hands are up, because it's that kind of drill now. Right? So I go weapon, other weapons over here, and then spine, and then I just keep moving again. So you can just keep feeding that condition into your central nervous system, into the big hard drive of your computer. As soon as someone comes towards you, it's weapon, spine, and start looking for other kinds of trouble. And we can just get into that flow so it's not too jumpy. Go ahead. Oh, the other way. So now we're going to do this, sort of the next step. He's coming at me and I see it coming. I've had the opportunity to learn to use that momentum to build structure and power. I've had the opportunity to remove that weapon, find the next weapon, and think about hitting him. So now what I want to do is, as soon as I see that, I just hit him at the same time he's coming at me. So I'm doing an intercepting strike. Could be that, but for the sake of the roaming drill, we're just going to try to hit the guy, tap him on the chest first. Do that, and you can hit him in the face on the way by, and get the other weapon and get his spine. So I've got weapon, intercept at the same time, and then I rush his spine. Okay? Sometimes it's hard to tell who's feeding him when you get that way. So try to make it obvious, I'm feeding, and then striking him with the spine. Who's hurt? Pretty much. Right? So intercept, whatever you want to do, other weapon, because it's up now, because we're doing that kind of drill. So you come up people come up with both. Two hands now. If it doesn't work out, like say he comes up, or I come up like this and he doesn't get the intercepting strike, but he gets the weapon, gets the other weapon, comes in on the spine, that's still good. I mean, you've taken away the weapons for that tenth of a second and you're coming closer. Ideally, he comes up and I get that shot in, I'm on the weapon, interacting with that, and I can either hook him out and try and get his spine from behind, or it seems more natural to me because my hand's right here, strike and go for that other weapon. And I've still got this weapon here, and there's all the low-line stuff. So it's just for me to have that instinct. I see the hand, and I check his weight. I'm not trying to cavitate his diaphragm. I'm just like, whoa, dude, maybe we're just going to check in with what your intention is here. But I don't need to think about hitting him. It's more about disrupting his movement. Right? And that's fairly safe. At the same time, it could be this. Next. I notice that you can just whack the person upside the head. But right now, it's stop. And again, we want to work gradually up the arc of initiative, the situation of combatives. So I don't always just think my job is to end your life. It's what's going on. Make sense? So now we're going to do something else, which is one of my favorite ones. So we're moving through the roaming drill. And what I want to do is get close enough, and this is me, is get close enough for us to be almost like you'd be bumping into someone at a crowded party, or you're turning around in a shopping mall and all of a sudden, oh, right? Because that's what's called consensual contact. And again, we're trying to train your neuromuscular memory to be comfortable with doing stuff that isn't that friendly, right? So for me to get to that place where I'm comfortable, I'm not going to spaz out and risk my friend's neck. What I want to do is just get comfortable with, excuse me, sorry, and move on. So again, we bump into each other or not. It's, I think, normal in a party or a crowded situation to go, oh, excuse me, pardon me, and to do that. But now I'm sort of on a subtle level training myself, well, having my hand here, gives me a lot of leverage on the structure and keeps his hand from being troubled. Right? It's just instinct. Even if I'm scared and surprised, I turn around, oh, and look at that, my hand's on his shoulder. In the same way where these bones here are basically covering those bones from my sight, which basically means he has to try really hard to make his hand useful. If I can create that condition where the forearm's in front of his upper arm, right, and I'm like this, it's obvious that he's going to try to do that, or something like that. And again, I'm this close to articulating something into his spine or his head. But I'm not thinking about that right now. What I'm thinking about is, oh shit, clumsy moment. Totally familiar with all the stuff I would need to almost instantaneously interact with his weight in a way that really makes me happy. Because that's what's important about the roaming drill is I'm completely comfortable with him shoving me, with me getting this, me getting that, because it's got to feel normal. If it's, scared, it's scared. You don't want to be that. You want to be just like, you woke up and oh shit, you better kill this guy since it's a burglar. Because your hands always just know that's a good place. It's a familiar place. It's normal. Hey, excuse me, you're coming drunk. Because that's got to be what your hands do. They don't learn very fast when you're scared. So let's try that. Crowded party. Party. You can even send them on a little way after the interaction happens to just let yourself know you still have post and pivot. And if you like humor, it's kind of like poking your friends.
That's right.
Three.
Right? But everything's just normal. Perfectly happy. Why wouldn't you grab someone by the jaw? Well, that's probably past consensual, but right here, you're just that close, right? That's what I got you. What's that?
Thank you very much.
Maybe. You guys are tough. When you can get really into it, you're like, geez, I just got so many things. I'm going shopping. It's Christmas time. It's Black Friday. Get out of my way. Right at the people's heads and other people's heads. Just habit. Totally just habit to be putting yourself everywhere you need to be without even just habit without freaking out. Just crowded party. Right? Just habits, really good habits to have. I think the other side is true on this kind of drill is he's coming at me and he's going to be patting me down, doing the pardon me thing. I can either just be the drunken passive guy, which actually has some tactical advantage. Right? Oh, well, nice package. Right? Because I mean, sometimes if it's that kind of a crowded situation and he is starting to get rough, like I can get some tactical positioning without getting all fired up in terms of getting geared up. Right. Same time, I can get used to. Pardon me. I could just dump him on the ground here, and I know where his nuts are right now. And this is as close to here, but I'm just like, well, I can just let the massage happen, or be ready for guy number 3, right? So that's sort of the next thing you want to do is I come in to kind of pat you down, and you just want to put your hands where you might be able to interrupt me. You don't have to do anything about it, but wherever I put my hands, just check it a bit. So I come along and, here, so he's naturally going to check that. He hasn't done anything with it, but now his brain, his neuromuscular memory is, he comes to pat me down, and I'm interfering with everything that he's wanting to get set up, and I'm not actually in combat right now. I'm just in a crowded room where instead of just letting him move me around, I'm protecting myself, setting up all kinds of stuff, because that's what my mind just naturally needs to do. And then I don't have to go, step back, you. We should fight. It doesn't usually happen like, where's the ref? Take off my shoes. All right, so again, it's just to train you. We're just bumping around in a crowded room, but I mean, there's a part of me that's just looking for all kinds of opportunities without having to get fired up about it. Making sure that everything makes sense about not getting hit. Right, so as I feed this to you, I'm giving you stuff to basically check out, make sure that I can't do what I want. Don't protect yourself, just interact with my limbs. Yep. Especially for people watching this, it might look like we're just... But at any moment, it's really going to be go time. And I will need to fire into complete aggression when I know I have to. Up until that point, we're still just arguing monkeys. Right? Make sense?